Hi everyone, welcome back to Wes Knows Tech News and Reviews. Today we've got a special review for you. We'll be reviewing the Apple Watch Series 6 cellular and GPS version. So this is a 44mm aluminium version. It's blue in color, it looks great, looks amazing actually. But today's review of the Apple Watch Series 6 will be slightly different to what you've seen earlier on other channels. While having a look at the Apple Watch Series 6 as just another smartwatch, but with the Apple logo on it, it makes you see things with a new perspective, a more fresh perspective. Anyway, let's get into this initial impressions review of the Apple Watch Series 6 44mm. Let's get into it. If you are new to Wes Knows Tech News and Reviews, we talk about the latest tech news. We do brutally honest reviews and share hacks and tricks along the way. And finally, so I went out and got myself the top spec Apple Watch Series 6, and this is a 44mm version, so it's the larger one. And of course, it's cellular and GPS as well. Now, my expectations were set high. First of all, because this thing cost me £520, and that's around $700. That's a lot of dosh for a smartwatch. So my expectations were pretty high. They were about that high. How much did I actually experience? How much pleasure did I get out of using this smartwatch? Well, I'll tell you what, it wasn't that high. And again, I know there'll be a lot of haters and telling me in the comments below the video that I got it all wrong or I didn't get something, but hey, I've been reviewing smartwatches and gadgets for quite a while. I know what to expect from a smartwatch for £520. And what I'm getting here, I'm getting a lot of reputation. I'm getting a lot of the credibility of a big brand. But there are a lot of great things about this smartwatch. But also, there are quite a few drawbacks. And we'll be discussing all the advantages and all the drawbacks in this particular video. So without further ado, let's get into the detail. As with all the reviews on the Wes Knows Tech News and Reviews channel, first we'll get into the design, then we'll talk about the display, and then we'll get into the features and functions. But because this is a different kind of review, because we want to look at the drawbacks as well as the advantages, we'll mix them in as we go through the video. Let's kick off with the design. So it's a standard Apple Watch. We all know about it. This thing came out 5 years ago, first time ever, and wow, it basically blew the smartwatch market up. It was the first smartwatch that actually fit in perfectly with the Apple ecosystem. And yes, you can download apps and it's a perfect connection with your iPhone, but just your iPhone. If you've got a Samsung or any other Android device, you would not be able to pair it up to your Apple Watch. Anyways, so the design is very much recognizable. It's got this great rectangular shape. It does look good, and anybody can see that it's an Apple Watch. It's got this great strap which has a tuck-in design. Anyway, so the design is there. What about the weight? The weight is not bad. It's just under 40 grams because this is the bigger version. This is the 44mm and it's aluminium. So it's only 36 grams. If you did go for the steel version, that would be around 40 grams. And if you go for the smaller size, which is 40mm and aluminium, that will be just over 30 grams. If we look at the actual case, so it is aluminium and we've got it in blue. You will notice that on the left, you've got two speakers. On the right, you've got a microphone slot, and of course you've got the famous round button, so you can press that and you can swivel it up and down. Also, there is this invisible button on the bottom right of the bezel, on the bottom right of the watch case. So this usually just returns you to the previous menu. And that's it. That's the design of the Apple Watch. It is distinct and people are used to it. Even though it's not the pretty round, or it's not just perfectly square, it's the Apple design. And now let's talk about the screen, because the screen is special. You just want to keep on touching this screen. It is so nice. The curved screen. I can't say that the bezels are all that thin because they're not. Right? They're not the thinnest bezels that I've seen, but they still look very sharp. And if we talk about brightness, when this screen is actually brightening up, it goes from 200 to 600 nits, and 600 nits, that's very bright. You also get the always-on display with this watch. In fact, that is one of the main reasons why people get this. But I'm just not sure, do they know that practically any other smartwatch also has always-on display? I'm just not sure why other brands don't actually advertise it, but Apple does. If you love your faces, the faces on your watch, you will love the Apple designs. They're highly customizable. I've actually brought in my gallery of 7 photos of car photos. I love cars, just looking at them. And I've brought them in to give me a dynamic sort of screensaver on my watch face. So the cars actually switch around. You can actually set 100 photos, which you can actually look through or upload to your watch face from your smartphone. So faces, that's great. But again, any other manufacturer does that. Some better, some worse, but in general, you can get as many faces as you like, and also customizable faces. You can also bring in your custom faces, such as from your gallery of your smartphone, onto your watch. Although I do have to mention that I haven't seen a watch which does the dynamic changing of the photos like the Apple Watch. So that is definitely a plus. Now, another great feature is the passcode. So you will see that now if I want to unlock the watch, I will have to enter in my 4-digit passcode. That is pretty cool, because on other watches, there's also the passcode option, such as on your Garmin's or on your Xiaomi or on your Amazfit watches. But there, basically, as soon as the screen locks, you put in your password, or just before you actually do a pay function. So on your Garmin's, for example, I've got the Garmin Venue here. Just before you make a payment with Garmin Pay, you would have to enter in your password. That's great. But with the Apple Watch, it just works slightly differently. As soon as you take the watch off your wrist, it basically puts in a passcode, and you can't get into the watch unless you enter the passcode. And that is quite safe, and that is very intelligent. So I do like that. But again, a passcode, nothing new. It's just the way it's been thought through. It's just the mechanics of this passcode, and it's quite premium. Just before we get into the features and functions of the smartwatch, let's talk about the actual system. What does it have? So it's got 1 gig of RAM. Now, that's nothing to write home about, but we know that with Apple products, 1 gig of RAM can go a long way. In fact, it goes quite a very far way with this watch, because everything is so smooth. But after all, why do we get a smartwatch? Is it for tracking your exercises, for your activities? Is it for tracking your heart rate, your SpO2, or your blood oxygen saturation? What about tracking your sleep? Why else do we want a smartwatch? Well, we wanted to calculate the steps taken, so to measure and to track our steps. We wanted to be able to calculate the calories burned during an exercise or just by living our day-to-day lives. We want a smartwatch or a fitness tracker to actually track our fitness levels, to make sure that we sustain them, maintain them, or improve on them. And of course, Apple is advertising the Apple smartwatch as one of the healthiest smartwatches in the world. Now, as I found out that this is the first Apple Watch, so the 6 series, which has sleep tracking available. And it's not the sleep tracking that we're used to on the Huawei's, on the Honors, on the Amazfits, or the Polars, or the Garmin's for that matter. Oh no, this is very basic sleep tracking. It tells you when you went to sleep, when you woke up, and how much time you've actually slept. What's the point in that? Well, of course there is some point, but really that's not elaborate at all. Also, you do not get the chance to use smart alarms. So the watch will not identify the most optimum sleep phase when to wake you up. It just doesn't do it. You don't get sleep stages, so you can't tell when you had your REM sleep, your deep sleep, or your light sleep. It's just the total time slept. Now that's very limited usability cases for that. And again, with something that I'm paying £520, I would think that my sleep is quite important for my health. But anyway, let's talk about heart rate monitoring. Yep, continuous right here. SpO2, yep, finally, in the 6 series, you do get your blood oxygen saturation being monitored. That's great. But then again, almost every other smartwatch does that already. Heart rate monitoring, every other smartwatch does it as well. In regards to sport profiles, well, you've got plenty on the Apple Watch Series 6. And all of these sport profiles are actually goal-based. So if we look at swimming, you can actually set and adjust your pool length. It will calculate the number of laps that you've swum. You can also set the distance that you want to swim, the number of calories you want burnt, or the duration of time you want to do swimming. So it does all this, and that's great. But I've seen so many smarter functions, such as those that will actually alert you if during an exercise you're out of your pace, or if your heart rate is above a certain range. And we can see those alerts in the Amazfit watches, which cost a fraction of the Apple Watch. Then of course, if we look at the Garmin's, at the Garmin Venu as an example, on there you can actually see gesture control of how you should perform exercises. You also get that on the Huawei and the Honor watches. But the Apple Watch Series 6 has an ecosystem. It's got the Apple ecosystem. You can go in, you can download apps, and there's 30 gigs of space, 32 gigabytes of space on the smartwatch. And considering that, yes, this is actually a cellular model, so I can actually make phone calls right from my wrist. I've got a speaker, I've got a microphone. Yep, I can speak into it and I can hear people talking to me from the other side right on the watch. The number of apps you can get, that is great. It's spectacular. It does make this very interesting. I love the fact that I can catch up on my news just off the watch face. And again, that is great. You just love the fact that this watch is a real continuation of your smartphone, of your Apple smartphone. There are plenty of useful apps, such as your calculator, and because the screen is rather large, you can actually put in values. You can see what you're going to come up with. There's a great calendar app, again, as on many other smartwatches, but here it's a bit more special because it's just so nice and so smooth. There are a lot of other apps which are quite useful. The breathing app is absolutely beautiful. You can do breathing exercises to counter a panic attack, or maybe just do some breathing exercises because it's good for your health, just if you want to relax. Everything that you do on the Apple Watch is nice. It's very pretty, it's quite effective, and again, it's very smooth. So you do get a lot of interactivity. It looks absolutely stunning. But if we talk specifically about the features and functions, and we forget about the ecosystem, we forget about reading the news off your watch, because really, how convenient is it to read news off your watch? Not that. You will still be pulling out your smartphone. So I'm thinking that a lot of these features are just, well, not exactly gimmicks, because you can actually use them, but how much of these features will you actually be using, such as downloading apps and reading news, or using your calculator on your watch? Really, you can do it, but will you be doing it? How often will you be making calls off your wrist? Everybody keeps on going how effective this battery is. It can last you 36 hours. 36 hours, really? Well, of course you didn't get sleep tracking in the previous models, because the watch didn't even last a full day. So you couldn't go to sleep and actually get sleep tracking. Now, well, this watch can do it, but really? You go for an exercise and what, 5% of your battery goes dead? Overnight, you lose 10 to 20% of your battery life. That is really not massive. 36 hours is nothing. Take a Garmin, 10 days of battery life. Take an Amazfit watch, 30 days of battery life, and that's with your GPS hours. So if I'm going out hiking, what am I going to do with this watch if it loses power? How is it going to help me? So it does have an altimeter, it's got a GPS, it's great, it's useful, just like many of the other smartwatches on the market. It's just that this one is much prettier to look at, much nicer to feel, but really, with such a short battery life, that's a bit of an issue. So I can see that there are huge advantages with the Apple Watch Series 6. It's recognizable, it's Apple, it fits the ecosystem. It's got good functionality, strong fitness features, but there are other trackers which offer more fitness features, more health features, and watches that are compatible with other brands of smartphones. So with the Apple Watch, you are restricted to just the Apple iPhone. So that is my fresh look at the Apple Watch. If you did enjoy the review, please drop us a like. If you want to see more of the same, you know what to do. Please click on the red subscribe button below the video, and we'll see you in the next one.